20. Lou. I'm down there, far inside the ocean's deep. I don't need to breathe. The water clear as saliva on his lips. Above, through the skim, the sun is green. It's even more than home. His skin is like dolphin skin, stretched over my form, sticking like a wetsuit. I tell him it's okay. Arnie purrs and trembles against my muscles and sinew. His strings sink deep into my marrow and hum. Something else here, too. The cold reaches up from the leaks below, a jet curling around me like a tendril, a familiar cold, tasting salty and wet, even through the water. Arnie trembles on my skin and in my bones, and goes all the way wet, and a wisp, a buzz, squeezes me tight and pulls me down toward a gaping trench. I open my eyes, the dream mostly gone, still a little bit of Arnie's orange scent hanging in my nostrils. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Jill. Hi, Lou. You up? The message dragged icy blades across my ribcage. I almost didn't respond. Jill. The phone buzzed back to me. Lou. I am. Hi. I asked her how she was doing. I'm fine, she said. I told her I was sorry for being so shitty to her, for cutting her out of my life, for blaming her. I said it was unforgivable. 9 minutes passed. Lou. It's okay. Lou. I told her I was sorry. Jill. Don't be sorry. Me. About what happened to you. My condolences. Jill. I know, it's okay. She said Tyler was with her now. Was living with her now. Me. How is that? Jill. It's okay, I think. Me. Is anything wrong? Jill. I don't know. I don't think so. Sorry. It's fine. How are you? I told her about Arnie. She asked if he was my boyfriend. I said maybe. And then, I think so. She told me how happy she was for me. She told me she was proud of me. I told her I think I'm in love with him. Jill. It was almost 4 a.m., so I told her I had to go. She said it was good talking to me again. I told her we should do it again soon. I slipped back down the hall and pushed the door open gently, staggering the hinges creak. Hey. Tyler stood in the center of the room, already staring at me. Where were you? Like a blade in my belly. The bathroom, I said, feeling scared and guilty, but wasn't sure why. For 2 hours? It wasn't a question. There was nothing to argue. My stomach hurt. Are you okay? I'm fine. You're fine. Good. And then he got back into bed. I joined him. I tried to be affectionate, faking it probably, but he just lay still on his back, unresponsive. I rolled on my side, away from him, and closed my eyes. It was cool when you only needed me, he said, and then that kept me awake the rest of the night. Lou. Arnie was absent. Nowhere in the halls. Not in our boiler room. He wouldn't return my text. I went hard blue. Then at lunch, a hand grabbed my shoulder. I turned. Arnie's face looked like a gust of ash. Bloody eyes. He dropped his backpack in the seat beside me, hands shaking. Who is she? What? Who is she? His eyes probed the cafeteria. You told her about me. What? You talked to her last night. Who is she? His voice shrinking, glossed eyes. Jill sat with Tyler in the corner by the men's room. Her skin looked like old melon, his posture like ruins. There, I said. He tremored hard against me. I gotta go, he said. What? He loped towards the exit. I grabbed his backpack and followed. Outside was clear, but ripped with cold. Arnie was at the basketball court, wrapping his shoulders with his hands, pacing a circle around one of the hoop poles, shaking, humming, mumbling, chewing. Stay away from her, he said. Stay away from him. Jill. That night I went to the bathroom and texted Lou again. Me. Hey, are you up? Waited 10, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes. She didn't respond. I flushed the toilet and went back to my room. Lou. Arnie pulled me by the wrist across ice and frost. The woods behind the school were all tattered old birch and elm trees, gray capillaries sprouting from the earth, woven together by cold, dry vines. I'm going to miss class, I said. This is important. He took off his backpack, unzipped it, and pulled out 3 candles. He stuck their ends into the snow, making a triangle. Then he removed a book, the Encyclopedia of Saints. You need to choose a caretaker. I thought that was Christ. Nah, Christ is sleeping. He won't hear you. He pushed the book at me. I told him I didn't understand. You've got to do it yourself. He pushed the book into my hands. I can't choose for you. I took the book from him and flipped through, skimming. Don't think too much about it. Just let it come to you. I felt the pages between my fingers. Some felt stiff, like dim balsa. Others sticky. Some cold. Some warm. One was like lukewarm water. I stopped turning. A painting of a flat, blank woman stared up from the pages. St. Gobnate. Biography. The early Celts believed that the soul departed the body in the form of a bee or butterfly. Because of St. Gobnate's unwavering faith in Christ and the resurrection, she became a keeper of bees. As a beekeeper, she engendered a powerful relationship to bees, who she communed with to ward off evil, as well as using their honey to heal the ill and wounded. Ernie smiled. All right. He pulled a container of table salt from his backpack and poured it into the snow, walking a circle around us. This is our outer wall. He knelt and lit the candles with his lighter. This is our gate. He pointed to the space between the candles. That's what we speak through. He kneeled in the snow before them. Here's what you're going to do. He began humming, just like Tyler's hum. It resonated out from his neck and chest, but his body remained still, palms together in prayer. Palms together in prayer. My chest slipped closed like a knot in a ribbon. Arnie leaned his hands forward between the candles and slowly separated them, grazing the waxed owls with the back of his knuckles. He stopped humming, opened his eyes, looked up at me and said, That opens the gate. Next, you say the saint's name. Just repeat it. Say it until something changes. What changes? You'll know. Then you do this. He unzipped his pants and worked out a golden shaft. He rolled it and rubbed it in his palms until his face glazed with sweat and he spurted. He rubbed the pearl onto his palms, leaned forward and grasped the first 2 candle flames. Extinguishing them, he blew out the third. And that's it. A dozen little gray moths fluttered by our heads. I nodded, even though it didn't make any sense. It felt like an inversion of God, but also a blanket, a shell. That'll probably be good for the rest of the day, but you'll have to do it alone first thing tomorrow when you get up. It doesn't hurt to do it before bed, but that might be overkill. Okay. My insides twisted. A sheet slipping between myself and my parents. My God, the life I had trusted. The way abandoned whales feel. The way abandoned whales feel. Alone but free. Arnie felt like an ocean. You can have these candles, but you should use salt from your house. Also, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small silver packet. Chew this. I took the packet from him. Whirl printed in big block letters across it. Why? That's the trigger, or the key. I don't know the actual word, but you can't get to the saint without it. Or you can, but it takes years of practice and shit. I rubbed the packet with my thumb. He got up and hugged me close. I know it's weird, but please just do it. I don't want something bad to happen to you. And stay away from those people. He knows what I know. He can hurt us. I told him I'd stay away. And later that night, when Jill texted me, I didn't text back. Jill. Something was wrong with Harvey. He lay in the corner, groaning loud. When I approached him, hand out, he raised his head, showing teeth, snarling. It's okay, I said, still reaching out. He barked, got up and ran out of the room, hugging the walls with his side. I found Mom and asked what was wrong with him. Nothing, she said, and fell into a succession of wet, throaty coughs. She hacked a wad of black and gray mucus into tissue. He's always been like that. Lou. The next morning I poured a circle of salt around myself on my bedroom floor. I lit the candles and knelt on my pillow. I didn't chew the whirl. I hummed quiet, so quiet it almost wasn't anything at all, clasping sweaty palms. I dipped my hands between the candles, trembled my fingers apart and tapped the wax with my knuckles. The flame shivered. I mouthed St. Gobnat's name, again and again. Lou! Mom's fist rasped on the door. Time to go. The knob turned. Clothes! My voice broke. Putting on clothes. Hurry up. You're going to be late. I blew out and hid the candles, swept the salt under the bed, and went downstairs. Mom gave me a broken look. Are you feeling okay? She felt my forehead. I nodded. She drove me to school. There was more roadkill in the streets than usual, especially for winter. Possums and raccoons and even birds. Arnie found me in the hall before first period. He took my hand, pulled me around a corner, and asked if I did it. I nodded. He put his face close to mine, his eyes scanning my own. You didn't chew. I looked down at my shoes. He gently grabbed my cheek and chin and lifted my face to meet his again. You have to, right now. I have class. He slipped his hand around my wrist and dragged me down the hall, out a back door and back toward the woods. Because you didn't chew, we have to do it again. Knives in his voice, but not for me. You should really do it where you sleep, though. We reached the same spot as before, and he took a fresh candle from his backpack, placing it in the snow. He poured the circle of salt around us. Do you have the whirl on you? I shook my head. He took another packet from his pocket and handed it to me. Chew it. Now. My hands shook opening the packet. The leaves were like ash, gray and dark purple ash. Chew. I took a bit of leaves and placed them on my tongue. More. I placed a tiny bit more in my mouth. The leaves tasted cursed, like sulfur. Now kneel and hum. I did as he said. Arnie lit the candles for me with his lighter. I hummed quietly. You've got to really feel it, Arnie said. You have to really believe in it. It has to come through your chest. I hummed louder. The air throbbed. Tiny black strings grew from Arnie's face. Tiny needle voices perked in my ears. It doesn't have to be loud. Make it so your lips tingle. Or like when you're in the shower and you can't really hear what your voice sounds like. It has to buzz like that. It was like trying to slip a ball through a hoop, a key penetrating a lock. My hum sank back. My lips vibrated. Two distinct tones separating through my teeth. There, like that. Feel your heartbeat. Find the gaps between. Slide right into there. Like you can make time stop. I focused on my heart. Could feel it slowing. Like seconds between beats. Minutes between beats. Hours between beats. Outside the salt circle, tiny black strings grew from the snow. I closed my eyes and felt the strands crawling from my face and body. Voices swelling in my ears, but still indistinct, not like language at all. Now her name. I stopped humming and began whispering St. Gobnat's name, again and again. My lips grew numb, and then a firecracker exploded in the back of my head. I opened my eyes. A faint amber circle appeared between the candles, like a whirlpool of honey, a torrent sucking the space between us. My heart battered against my ribs. Keep saying the name or it'll close, and do the next part. He looked away from me. I said my name again and slowly unzipped my pants. St. Gobnat, St. Gobnate, St. Gobnate. I felt around my penis, rubbing pillowy but firm. It throbbed along with the air, both growing warm. St. Gobnate, St. Gobnate, St. Gobnate. It came out in moans. My body stiffened, filled with pale light. I erupted. Warm pearl gel smeared my palms. I looked down and 100 black threads climbed from my urethra toward the golden torrent. As they twisted up in the circle, they began to disappear. Now end it, Arnie said, still facing away from me. I smeared the pearl around my palms and reached out, grasping the flames. They extinguished immediately. The amber circle disappeared. The black string still crawled from the snow, but fainter now. Arnie blew out the third candle. A heavy gust swept through the branches. The space flickered. Hundreds of small yellow shapes danced around the branches. Hundreds of little honeybees. I felt Arnie's hand on my shoulder. Do that every morning, and chew the damn whirl. He chuckled, but still cold and sharp. I wiped my hands in the snow. Tiny black strings crawling out from beneath my fingernails. How long do I have to do this? I don't know. He looked away from me. Probably forever. Jill. I tried getting Harvey to come to the bedroom, squealing his name, leading him with food, but he just stayed in the corner of the living room, growling quietly. I tried grabbing him by the collar, but he barked and ran off, always pressing his side to the wall. I followed him, watching as he nudged the basement door open with his snout and skittered down the stairs. I went to my room and asked Tyler if he saw anything weird happen to Harvey. I don't know. He didn't look up from his book. He He's not my problem. I climbed into bed and went to sleep. I'm right there now. The serpents sleep beneath a pile of dogs with golden hair. Lou. The next morning I woke up an hour early to give myself enough time. I poured the circle of salt around me. I lit the candles. I pinched open the bag of whirl and scooped a thimble's worth of leaves into my mouth. I knelt on a pillow and hummed, this time with my eyes open. I parted my hands and tapped the candles with the back of my fingers, opening the gate. I hummed until the room throbbed. Voices whispered inside my skull. Black strings snaked across the window, across the framed Spider-Man poster, the frame's glass gently cracking. Saint Gobnate, 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 again and again and again and again. The firecracker burst behind my skull. Between the candles, lines curled around, their definition pulsing, until they connected into the sucking gold torrent. The circle gently pulled at my shirt. Saint Gobnate, 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 Saint Gobnate. I unzipped my pants. Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate. Rolled and tugged my penis into my palm. Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, again and again and again. My body went stiff, filled with light, warm pearl all over my hands. The strings crawled from my hole into the amber circle. I reached toward the flames and extinguished two of them, blowing out the third. I looked up at the window and watched the room extending outward, faint and translucent. The edge of the frame, the wall, the ceiling fan, all outside, a mirror of my space, and if I got up and stood at the right angle, a mirror of me too. At school, the strings crawled between the hexagonal tiles. They fell from my teacher's lips. They twisted into cables and tethered people's bodies together. Arnie looked my face over, smiling big and beautiful, strings wagging between his teeth, stretching from his nostrils. You did it right. How do you know? I just know, he said, and kissed me. He said I should be safe now. Jill. Harvey stayed in the basement, curled into a corner, flashing teeth whenever I came near, puddles of piss across the concrete floors, strands of shit. I left food at the foot of the stairs, and again the next day and the day after that. The sour cancer reek of piss and shit eventually wafted to the rest of the house. When I tried to bring it up with Mom or Tyler, they just looked at me like I was crazy. I was getting sick, blowing ropes of black mucus from my lungs and sinus. They looked like little toadstools. All food tasted like decay, meat, fruits, vegetables, everything, like it was rapidly decomposing in my mouth. I texted Lou. She didn't respond. I hid from Tyler even as he lay right next to me. I'm still right there. Part of me always will be. Lou. I poured the circle of salt. I lit the candles. I gnawed the whirl. I knelt on the pillow and hummed. I opened the gate. The ceiling became a canopy of black string. Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate, Saint Gobnate. The firecracker burst. The torrent sucked. I unzipped my pants. My back stiffened and arced, spurting the pearl. The strings crawled from my hole. I closed the gate. It now felt like something I had always done, like brushing my teeth or emptying my bladder. I wasn't having dreams about Tyler anymore. Now they were filled with glowing red faces above the clouds and clean, lukewarm water. You feel better? I bet you're feeling better. Arnie was walking me to first period, which had become a soft little ritual between us. He was right. I was even. My posture and balance had gotten right. My ritual was changing things inside me. My body started to belong to me. I asked him if that was the whirl. The whirl's just a key. You've still got to bring something to it. He hopped up on his toes, glancing over my shoulder. Shit, we gotta go. What? I turned. Just as Arnie was telling me not to look, it was Jill, coming toward us fast, and I realized it had been over a week since I'd seen her in school. Her skin had sliced with oil, and her eyes ringed dark and purple. She looked starved. Harvey tried to pull me back, but I stood still. Lou. She reached out for me, but stopped herself, her face all the way wet. Hi, I whispered down and away. She wiped her face. I need to talk to you. The bell rang. Arnie pulled at my elbow. We gotta go. Now. Please. She squinted through red, puffy eyes. Okay. I told her to meet me in the woods behind the school. Jill, I'm right there. I'm there right now, in the passenger seat of Harvey's Passat. Harvey's paws curl over the wheel, steering us through the mountains, a pair of sunglasses resting on his long golden snout. The light sets his fur aglow. He smiles and pushes his snout toward my face, and I kiss him long and soft, tongues intertwining. I turn back toward the road. The road is gone. We slip on wet leaves and mud into a patch of trees, a sound like gunshot. The engine and chassis wrapped around a tall, thick oak. The airbags explode and Harvey screams. I pull his body, empty like a canvas sack, from the car and dig a hole with my fingernails. I throw his body in and push the dirt back over. I light a candle and press it into the dirt and whisper. I don't know what I'm saying. I woke up, alone. I put on yesterday's dirty clothes and looked at Tyler's altar. There was something new, a rigged cloth ring, Harvey's collar. I went to the kitchen and looked out the window. Tyler stood with a shovel, a hole at his feet, a black and green pile next to it. Behind him, a pool of red liquid, scraps of meat and golden hair settled in the snow. I started for the back door, but a hand grabbed me by the elbow, swinging me around. Mom. I'm so sorry, sweetie. She wheezed and coughed. What? My voice cracking. What happened? He must have gotten out. Coyotes or something got him. I'm so sorry. I pulled away and ran for the back door, swinging it open and running onto the frosted earth with bare feet. What happened? Tyler dropped the shovel. Harvey ran out into the road. It was a truck. Why didn't you wait for me? Why didn't you wake me? Don't be crazy. It's better like this. He reached out a filthy hand, and I ran back to the house, past Mom into the basement, pulling the door closed, locking it. The reek, sulfur and arsenic, choked all the oxygen from the world. I stuffed my mouth and my nose and my elbow, tapped on the phone's light, and descended the stairs. I stepped down off the bottom step into a puddle of sickly green urine. There was almost no piece of floor not covered by piss and shit, greasy lumps that almost seemed to tremble under the phone's light. Some had sprouted gray-purple mushrooms. I flashed a light around the room. Something was different in the far corner, red and wet. I carefully walked through the waste toward it. A puddle of blood and fur, small yellow teeth, black nails. I sucked rapid breaths, gagging on the reek, even before I saw the tiny black shapes flittering through the air, small humming wasps. They covered the wads of shit and buzzed around and above me. I turned the lights to the ceiling on. Thousands crawled along the massive paper nest stretching over the pink insulation. A hand fell on my shoulder. I shrieked and whipped around. Mom. A wasp climbed across her brow and down the ridge of her nose. You're late for school, she said. Lou. I asked Arnie if he'd come with me to meet her. His eyes were cold and looked away. Her body's been where I've been, and knows what I know, he said, squeezing his eyes shut. It's too dangerous. Oh, her boy's been where I've been, and knows what I know. He squeezed his eyes shut. It's too dangerous. I hugged him and said it was okay, that I understood. I let go and began walking away. Please don't, he said. I need to. I crossed the iced-over sports field into the woods. Jill stood between twin rotting maples, smoking a cigarette. Hi, she said. Hi. How are you? Okay. How are you? She frowned, shaking her head. She stumbled forward and wrapped me in a hug, and we went all the way wet together. Jill. I told her about Tyler's altar and the symbols carved in doorways, about the dreams, about Dad and Harvey. I told her I needed to get out, that I needed help. She said she'd see what she could do. Lou. I met back up with Arnie, and we skipped third period together. Arnie apologized for trying to talk me out of meeting with Jill. He said I was doing a good thing, that it was Christ-like. I asked him if he'd let her stay at his place. He shook his head and laughed blue. They don't even know you, dude. That made me shiver. Even though I knew he didn't mean it like that. She can't stay at your place? They never let her. He opened his hand and looked down at his palm, drifting off for a minute or two. There's something you can do, but you have to promise me you'll never do it again. Jill. I got home and the TV was on, turned to a news report about invasive beetles, but no one was there to watch it. Mom sat in the kitchen looking down into the table, frowning, her arms folded around her waist. Are you okay? I asked. She raised her head and startled. Oh, hi, sweetie. I was thinking of ordering pizza. I left her there without saying anything more and went down the hall to my bedroom. Tyler leaned back in my desk chair, his legs spread wide, fidgeting with a strand of dried plant in his left hand. "The fuck's your problem?" he said. "I'm sorry." "You don't even know what you're sorry for?" I didn't say anything. I looked away. "Then don't say you're fucking sorry." He stood up. "You're just like your mom." "Do you want me to go?" I whispered. He walked over to the window and pressed his forehead against the glass. "I don't know what I want anymore." Lou. He told me I had to do it in the early morning, like when it's still dark out. He told me to pour the salt and open the gate and hum, but don't whisper your caretaker's name. I'll whisper to Christ. You don't whisper to anyone. You're calling on God for this. God doesn't have a name. He said that God was unpredictable, that God didn't even know we were here. At 3:03 a.m., I did what he instructed. I poured the salt, I lit the candles, and sucked on 4 pinches of whirl. I knelt on the pillow and hummed. I opened the gate, still humming, trying to make it a single breath that never ends, gnawing the whirl, sinking into the hum. The strings slipped down the walls, over the ceiling, a black canopy. They tapped against the windows until the glass began to crack. I closed my eyes, stroking my penis, trying to empty myself out. The strings were inside me, wrapping my arteries, wrapping my spine, clawing behind my eyes. I hummed, gnawing the whirl, feeling my heartbeat slow, dipping into the spaces between beats. Behind my eyes, I saw a space, a hole inside me, a sucking torrent, roaring like the ocean waves crashing through rocks, tide sucking my insides away into a vast hole filled with stars and suns, a place I'll never see. There's something else here, round and infinite, a vibrating smear. I exhaled, and it lasted forever. My entire life slipping between the beats in my heart, slower, 1,000 years passing between beats, the torrent inside me, a fractal. My insides shift, and the world shifts with it. They bend, and the world bends. My back arches, my body nearly snaps in half. I wake up in an alabaster room, in an alabaster bed, broken on the inside, tubes and cables pushed inside me, reeking of plastic and spray. A dot on the wall speaks. In the small, isolated room, where the arid air never penetrated, nor the dust, nor the heat, both had the atavistic vision of an old man, his back to the window, wearing a hat with a brim like the wings of a crow, who spoke about the world many years before they had been born. To my right is a wall-length window. The room is reflected in the glass, but the reflection is of a different room, a room I used to cherish, that I had once wished belonged to me. I stand up. I pulled the tubes and cables out of my skin and nose. I look through the window. Jill's room. She lies in bed, beside Tyler. He is only skin, half inflated. His face droops over the side of the mattress. His wisps flutter. I put my hand to the glass and push through. No resistance. My whole body pushes into her room, floating just above the carpet. Space like amniotic fluid filled with icy moonlight. I drift over her bed. I look down at Tyler. His body like a pile of rags. His strings reach out for me. Foul. I hover upward, just out of reach, and drift to Jill. I look down on her face. Thick, stressed valleys carved into her forehead. She twitches, sparky. I want to tell her it's going to be okay. I lay down, atop her body, and then inside it. I fall right through her. Her skin, her hair, her eyes, her mouth, her hands, her feet. We share each other's insides. I see the spaces inside her, the vast black punctured by spots of radioactive light, and something else, long and round, ebbing through the space, a massive worm, a faceless serpent. It doesn't see me. It doesn't see anything. My strings erupt from my face and flit through her body, inside her capillaries, her bowels, her marrow. They probe her blood and other fluids, her organs, chambers, the wrinkles beneath her skull, there, inside her lungs. The tips of my strings strike something hard and smooth, a glassy knotted tumor, purple and gray. Jill's body shifts and coughs. My strings wind through the tumor, heavy breathing, Tyler's body hyperventilating beside us. My strings twine the tumor hundreds of times over, tighter and tighter, an attempt to crush it. Tyler's body whimpers. It flaps beside us. My strings wrap tighter. The knot pulses. Strange breath. Jill's body moans. The tumors crack and split. Tyler's body screams, a scream like wind through bare branches. The tumor collapses, and from it a million oily strings unfold, flooding her lungs. My strings try and corral them, but are overtaken. Jill's body coughs, soaked, rasping coughs, and her eyes snap open. I disappear. I woke up, sitting upright, inside a circle of salt. Before 3 candles, my penis in my hand, crusted with dry white, golden pink slivers of sunlight cutting through the window, making the dust glow. My lungs were soggy. He was inside me, his string still winding through my chest. I coughed until I retched, spitting black phlegm into my hand. Another wad, and then another. I hummed, prayed to St. Gobnate, and the heat from her golden circle warmed me, and I hacked out the remaining contamination, her golden light warming and cleansing my strings until I no longer felt him. I closed the gate. The strings crawled back to their corners, slipping back into shadow. The air felt renewed. I swept the salt under my bed and got ready for school. Jill. She's in a white room, so much older now, shock white hair, and wrinkles carved all over her skin. I almost don't recognize her, older than I'll ever be. She opens her eyes, she sees me, and smiles. His body stretches over us, covering the entire world. A beige tube, the shaft of a penis, a cable. He wraps around the earth, again and again, locking us under his skin. He's laughing, and Mom is laughing, and Dad is laughing too. But she is there. She whispers to me. Her whispers take shape, like black smoke exhaled. The cloud drifts from her mouth to mine. I swallow. It scrapes at my throat, solidifying. The shape of a key. She says she's so sorry, that everything's going to be okay. I woke up. An empty bed. An empty room. I was used to that now. My head throbbed. My skin felt slick with sweat. Sleep crusted my eyes. My lungs ached, wet and tender, like I'd been kicked in the chest and thrown in a river, like I might never catch my breath. I coughed hard, hawking into the corner of my sheet, my phlegm colored black and amber. I sat up, the world throbbing. Every breath was agony. I coughed, letting the black and amber dribble down my lips and into my nightshirt. I stood and swayed on my feet, barely enough energy to walk. I didn't even put on my regular clothes. I passed the bathroom. Tyler sprawled on his knees, shaking, arms wrapped around the toilet bowl, puking red. I hacked and coughed, walking out to the living room. Mom sat in the lounge chair, watching a news story on human trafficking. "Good morning," she said, without looking at me. "I think I'm sick." She looked at me, an empty face. "Well, that's not good." I tried to say something else, but he roughed it into coughs, coughing and coughing, unable to stop, spitting black and amber flecks. I couldn't breathe, like a bucket of stale water in my chest. I couldn't breathe, my hands and knees shaking, just kept coughing. I couldn't breathe. I collapsed onto my knees, everything going cold. I sank backward, letting my back hit the floor. Mom called my name over and over, standing over me, frantic, more life in her than I'd seen in months. But I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I closed my eyes and stopped trying to inhale.